The Simpsons. Do 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 do. Iconic, huh? Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome to a Simpsons episode of a Cutter video for YouTube. And today I'm going to look at the 36 greatest Simpson episodes of all time and how they transcended things and all that. Of course, I will try to spend 1 minute per episode, talking about plot points and major storylines and, pop culture enemas, if you will. So these episodes are huge. Now, here's the thing. There was only one episode post season 11 that made the top 36. That shows how much The Simpsons, after 11 years, should have just left the show, left the airwaves, and maybe we get a freaking reboot. But the fact of the matter is that we're going to be talking about The Simpsons, and we're going to be talking about 36 great episodes. Strap yourselves in. It's going to be a wild ride. So anyhow, let's talk about the Simpsons episodes. IGN ranked these guys. I didn't rank him myself, but anyway. Number 36 was The City of New York versus Homer Simpson, Season 9. This episode starts when Barney being forced to be the designated driver because of a new designated driver program. And then, Homer, Lenny, and Carl, their drunken antics lead them to, for some strange reason, go on a bender and leave Homer's car in between the Twin Towers. Of course, this was Season 9 before, what happened. So anyway, Bart and family want to go to New York. Homer doesn't want to because he had a massive experience that basically everyone was throwing stuff on him. His stuff kept getting stolen, and the Cheds. So Homer seems to have a terrible time in New York, trying to wait for the police officer so that he could get his car back. He inadvertently drinks too much crab juice, has to use the bathroom, and misses the guy putting a ticket on his car. Homer is so awestruck, he basically decides to drive his car with the boot and get out of New York, whereas Bart, Lisa, and Marge have a great time and all that. Homer's experience is big. And of course, when Bart shows that bus thing about $9 and then the Twin Towers making up 11, some said it was foreshadowing. I don't know. Anyway, number 35 is Bart Sells His Soul from Season 7. Bart and Milhouse play a prank at church that the organist plays In a Garden of Vida instead of like a biblical song. Like Lovejoy forces Milhouse and Bart to clean the pipes and all that. And Milhouse says that he narked on Bart because he didn't want birds pecking at his soul. Bart tries to say that there is no such thing as a soul. Milhouse forces Bart to sell his soul, but Bart realizes that he needs his soul because doors don't open for him and he doesn't have any breath. So basically, Lisa taunts him at Moe's new family restaurant. Moe decides to go into family restaurant business because nobody's coming to his store, his bar. So he does that. Unfortunately, the pressures of smiling all the time and being kind to kids force him to go on a massive bender. And then Todd goes, "Ow, my freaking ears!" and all that. But yeah, Lisa taunts Bart. Bart wants his soul back, and then Milhouse sells it for pogs. But unfortunately, Bart misses. As comic book guy said, someone took Bart's soul. Bart prays heavily for his soul. Lisa gives it to him. Number 34 is Homer the Great from season 6. This was an episode in which Homer sees Lenny and Carl get perks that he doesn't get. Instead of working hard and getting them, it was actually revealed that they're part of what they call stonecutters. Homer trails Lenny and Carl and learns that there's two ways of being a stonecutter: saving the life of a stonecutter, which he fails miserably, and being the son of a stonecutter, which Grandpa is, in addition to him being the leader of the Black Panthers Springfield chapter and the Springfield Gay Lesbian Alliance. So anyway, Homer works his way up. Unfortunately, he ruins the sacred parchment by using it as a napkin. Of course, we can't forget the we do chant. Who holds back the electric car? Who makes Steve Gutenberg a star? Yeah, that song was amazing. Homer then has a birthmark resembling the Stonecutters logo, and they praise him and all that. Homer uses it to his advantage, and then Lisa asks him to help out like a daycare center, and they get miffed. They just want to drink beer and all that. They don't want to help other people, so they basically kick Homer out and put in the mystical order of the no homers. Of course, it reminds Homer of a time he tries to join a club when he's a kid and says no homers. And then he says, "You let Homer Thompson in, you'll cook. It's no homers. We can have one." Number 33 is I Love Lisa, season 4. This was a pretty good episode. Well, Bart spends his pre Valentine's Day writing bad love stuff on Candy Hearts, which gets Skinner to scold the school about this thing, saying that Valentine's Day is no joke because he had a platoon mate named Johnny who had a paper heart made for his girlfriend, and then he gets shot right through the heart. Shot through the heart, and you're insane. And then Bart says, "Cool, I messed with his brain." Anyway, Ralph gets no Valentines from anybody, and Lisa takes pity on him, gives him a Valentine, but then Ralph courts Lisa. Lisa does let Ralph down gently, even though Homer says that you should pretend to be gay. However, Ralph gets Chief Wiggum to say that you should be persistent. And so Ralph ends up getting the lead opposite Lisa in the President's Day pageant by using, letting the officers to remove a boot from Miss Hoover's car in exchange for letting Ralph be the lead. Ralph does give Lisa tickets to the Krusty anniversary show. Look in the trunk. Lisa is unsure what to do, but she goes for it. Chief Wiggum says he got the tickets thanks to busting Krusty at an adult film house. Although Lisa says that story's not suitable for adults, and Chief Wiggum says, "Well, I keep my pants on in this version." So anyway, Ralph tells the world about Lisa and wants to marry her. Lisa blows up and says, "I gave you that Valentine out of pity." And then Ralph, frame by frame, gets his heart broken. Wiggum busts Homer because of that, but Homer says that the little guy's going to ruin you. Oh, yeah? Have they set a date? Nevertheless, the President's Day pageant actually works out well, except for Bart overdoing it as John Wilkes Booth. But yeah, Ralph is a pretty good thespian when he has to be. Number 32 is Treehouse of Horror 6. Now, of course, I have to think long and hard about that because I'm trying to think. I think it was the one with the 50-foot eyesores that ruined Springfield thanks to Homer taking the colossal donut. Willie getting into kids' nightmares because of his untimely death, thanks to Homer. And also a presidential thing. Yeah, about the 96 election. That's all you need to know. Number 31 is And Maggie Makes Three from season 6. This episode sees the origin story of how Maggie became to be. Homer had made enough money to finally quit the power plant job and play Mr. Burns' head like a bongo. And then logically, he and Marge have a night out, and unfortunately, Homer impregnates Marge. Marge tries to hide her pregnancy from Homer, realizing that Homer is happy being a pin monkey at the bowling alley and all that. So anyway, Patty and Selma spread the rumor, although they spend their time talking to Aronson and Saboriak, who are the two biggest gossips in town, basically fooling us. Basically, people congratulate Homer for his bundle of joy, but Homer doesn't get it. Even Moe says she's pregnant. Well, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. But Homer doesn't get it. It wasn't until a baby shower happens that finally Homer clues in when Maud says, "Congratulations about your new job." It's kind of weird that Homer got the hint after that hint clue. Anyway, it's found out that Homer pulls his hair out every time that Marge is pregnant. He only had like 6 or 7 hairs on his head when Maggie was born, so he pulled half of them. So Homer tries to drum up business at the bowling alley to get more money. Unfortunately, he screws it up by advertising bully by shooting a gun in the air. Medical personnel do come, but not to bowl. So Homer has to go back to the nuclear power plant. Burns wants to give Homer a demotivational plague, but Smithers says that's plaque, sir. And then it says, "Don't forget, you're here forever." Obviously, that actually doesn't happen because Homer ends up losing his job multiple times and all that. Although they did say that Homer is guaranteed a job at the power plant in exchange for some kind of Burns killing and someone. But nevertheless, Homer does use the motivational thing with pictures of magazine. Do it for her. Number 30 is Lisa the Iconoclast from season 7. Jebediah Springfield's 200th anniversary is coming up, and everyone's asked to write an essay. So Lisa goes to the Jebediah Springfield Museum with the curator, Hollis Hurlbut, played by great Canadian actor Donald Sutherland. And the fact of the matter is that Lisa finds out that Jebediah Springfield is nothing more than a pirate. So she blasts him and calls him out for treason, but everyone says no, and Miss Hoover calls Lisa a PC fug, which Homer thinks means a greasy fug. But anyway, Homer gets the town crier job, and then he and Lisa force Jebediah Springfield's skeleton with the prophetic silver tongue to be placed. But the silver tongue's nowhere to be seen. Homer loses his town crier job, Lisa loses her reputation. But then Lisa finds out that Hollis Hurlbut did do the silver tongue because it was something he wanted. So basically, Lisa wants to expose Jebediah Springfield and all that with Hollis Herbert's help. She's about to be sniped by Mayor Quimby, but then she realizes that the town deserves better and says that he was a very great person and all that. Saying, no matter who says it, a noble it begins the world, or something like that. Number 29 is One Fish, Two Fish, Blowfish, Bluefish from season 2. It's an episode in which Lisa demurs about the same stuff day after day after day and wants to go out. So they go out for sushi at a Japanese restaurant, which is cool and all that. The Happy Sumo. Of course, that's a Japanese reference I love. Bart and Lisa entertain people by singing Shaft, like karaoke. Homer tries almost everything on the menu except for blowfish, which he wants to. Unfortunately, the one person who knows how to do blowfish is busy having intercourse with Miss Krabappel. So the assistant chef does it and gives Homer the thing. Unfortunately, though, they think that Homer ingested the blowfish venom. Homer actually yells at Marge instead of Lisa. Lisa technically was the one who told Homer to try the restaurant, but Homer blows up at Marge. I guess maybe because Lisa's a little girl, he didn't want to hurt her, and he thought that Marge had basically left him high and dry. So basically, he's told he has 24 hours to live, so he makes a list of things to do, including making a tape for Maggie, helping Lisa out with a few things. Listening to Lisa play the sax, basically telling Bart he's the man of the house and all that. Basically, he doesn't want to drop a hint he's about to die. So he goes through a lot of stuff, and fortunately for him, he's alive and all that. He spends his days like eating pork rinds and watching bowling. Although there were rumors that the episode would have seen Homer learn his lessons and all that, and basically he would have to go to Flanders Barbecue and get a talk with Mr. Burns. Number 28 is Mother Simpson from season 7. This was the episode which finally solved the mystery of Homer's mom. Now, Homer fakes his death to get out of a work-related cleanup thing on a Saturday. Unfortunately, though, the town is so convinced he's dead, basically, Patty and Selma give Homer's a gravestone to Marge, and then the power is cut out from the home. Although Marge could have saved the power by getting a job or getting a generator, she forces Homer to say, I am not dead. So Homer does all that, and then Homer says, This stuff is inaccurate. My mom died when I was a kid. Maybe you should go to her gravestone. So he does, but it's Walt Whitman's. And then Homer sees his gravestone and falls into the open grave. And then this woman says, How dare you be in my son's grave? But that's just my grave. Homer? Mom? They recollect. Mother Simpson had to be on the run because her hippie thing killed Mr. Burns' germ warfare thing. And Burns is upset saying that they haven't hurt anyone yet. So anyway, everyone tramples Mr. Burns, and Mona, for some dumb reason, decides to try to help Mr. Burns up, not realizing who he is. So basically, Burns says that she's made a giant mistake, and she has. She realizes she has to be on the run to protect Homer. and all that. Unfortunately, though, Burns notices her back after Homer gets all those care packages that the postal service had. So, fortunately, thanks to Chief Wiggum, Homer and Mona flee. And then Homer gives Mona a massive goodbye. And then, Homer, the post credit scene is amazing. That Homer sits on his car looking at the stars. Number 27 is King Size Homer, season 7. This is the episode in which Homer is upset over doing workplace calisthenics. Of course, I can't pronounce things. So he learns that he can get disability and get out of this mess. So he actually learns he can get up to 300 pounds and qualify for disability. At 238, he's big enough as is. But he, with Bart's help, tries to add 60 plus pounds. And Bart says, eat the sundaes, but avoid the bananas, empty calories. No, empty vitamins. Homer ends up being 300 pounds, although Marge tells him that this is not a good idea. All that. And Homer calls Marge shallow. Homer gets his 300 pounds thanks to a Play-Doh donut from Maggie, although with his stomach being on the towel rack, he was actually 325 pounds, so he didn't need Maggie's donut after all. So anyway, Homer works from home and all that, is happy as can be and all that. Unfortunately, lots of people make fat jokes of him, including the children. Lisa tries to defend her father, but he doesn't help the situation. And then when Homer uses a diving bird to do his work for him while he goes to the movies, he finds out that he could have a nuclear problem. Homer tries to fix the problem, but he's too fat for everything. He manages to save the plant and everyone else by having this huge body go into the valve and all that. And Burns thanks him by saying that it could have been a Chernobyl, but it ended up being a 3 mile island. Homer then tries to get fit by calisthenics, but Burns says, "Bah, I'll just pay for the liposuction." Woohoo! Number 26 is Lisa's Wedding, season 6. This episode is iconic because it actually predicted smartwatches and a few other things too. Anyway, Lisa goes to a fortune teller who says that her first love will be Hugh Parkfield. They they meet in university. They both are overachievers and all that. They both talk about the films of Jim Carrey and the Rolling Stones retirement tour and all that. And through video calling, which also was a massive prediction thing, Lisa tells Marge about her wedding, saying it would be perfect wedding, and the perfect wedding is that Homer stays out of planning the wedding and all that. Marge crosses her fingers, forgetting it was a video phone. Bart is into construction now. He's kind of a loser, thrice divorced and all that. And Maggie can't stop talking, even though we never see her say one single word. That was cute. Milhouse bemoans losing Lisa and punishes Homer for that at the power plant. So Hugh goes to America. Well, Lisa talks to Hugh's parents and all that, and they like her. And then Hugh comes to America and all that. The Simpsons ruin it for him by burning the English flag, although inadvertently because they got fire on the bug zapper. So unfortunately, Lisa is worried about Hugh and her talking to her family. So it comes to the end when Hugh demands that Lisa marry him, but leave the family behind and maybe bring Marge and Maggie in sometimes. So Lisa does the ultimate sacrifice, sacrificing her love for her family, even though that Homer and Bart don't deserve it. And finally, number 25 is Who Shot Mr. Burns, parts 1 and 2. This was clever by The Simpsons, a two-parter that actually took part during 2 seasons. The end of season 6, Mr. Burns pisses off the whole town with his lust for oil that the school ended up finding thanks to a dead hamster. So everyone files revenge on Mr. Burns, and Burns buys a gun to protect himself after Homer tries very desperately to get Burns to call him by name. Even wearing a name tag, a sticker on his helmet, and all that, everything. And Burns doesn't even acknowledge it and all that, even though that he gets Roberto's name. So anyway, Homer goes nuts. Bart finds out that because of the oil well, it injures Mr. Santa Helper's leg. The toxic fumes forces Mo to close, and lots of other people. Burns demands that someone look him in the eyes and try to plot revenge, but then everyone fails except for Maggie, who still looks at Burns. Burns blocks out the sun so that everyone would be reliant on his energy and all that. And that goes too far, and then someone shoots him, and lots of people are miffed. The fact of the matter is that we find out it's Maggie of all people because Maggie was saw firsthand about all her family being ruined by Mr. Burns' thing, and since Mr. Burns wanted her lollipop, the gun that Burns had accidentally falls in her hands, and then she shoots him sidearm. So basically, Maggie is the the perpetrator, and they wanted Maggie to pay dearly, but the baby can't be proven. Of course, subsequent seasons, people have fan theories, including Homer being the one who shot Mr. Burns because he was in Krusty gear. And Homer even said in one episode, about a revenge episode, basically saying that if I get caught, I'm pinning everything on Maggie, just like when I shot Mr. Burns. Now, another thing about the Mr. Burns situation with Homer is this. It's possible that Burns doesn't acknowledge Homer on purpose because of Homer's buffoonery and all that. But of course, Burns keeps Homer as safety inspector because someone else would probably do it and basically ruin Burns. So, anyway, that's that.